still a couple of top free agents on the market, unsigned, especially pitchers. Is there any part of you hoping that you guys still have another move in you?
I hope so. They're always working. That's the thing that's amazing about being here with the Yankees is, they're always trying to improve. They're always trying to make moves, if it's via trade, if it's via free agency, So I definitely feel like there might be another move, on the way, but, you never know. We'll see.
The comments made by Aaron Judge today have Yankees fans going wild online. The Yankees held live ABs, and I'm going to give you the results and the significance of them. Does MLB need a salary floor? What's going on, guys? It's the King of 161st Street, and welcome back to King's Speech. Let's get right into it. Those Aaron Judge comments got people acting wild. Talking about, we got a trick up our sleeve, and then gave that little grin at the end. And did you guys see how he tucked his chin? He went, yeah, we got something brewing. Literally the type of grin where it's I don't know if I should have said that. I did anyway. This is fun. He knows something. And we're all speculating what the fuck that is. Is it Blake Snell? Because the reports were coming out. Blake Snell is being offered by the Yankees a shorter term deal. Blake Snell has been doing a lot of shit to get Yankees fans' attention. He is viewing a bunch of people's story. He is commenting on a bunch of Yankees fans' stories on Instagram. Shit is wild. All the signs are pointing to it being Blake Snell. Something every Yankees fan has to keep in mind is because the Yankees are in the luxury tax, the Yankees are paying 1.5 times every dollar that is spent by the team. So what that means is, let's say, just random figures here, probably not going to happen, but it's a 2-year, $40 million deal. So that means $20 million gets hit to the luxury tax for the year. That means they are basically paying about $40 to $45 million off of that $20 million alone. It's getting doubled because they're over the luxury tax. For them to go high AAV may not be the most fiscally responsible by them, especially the fact that they have to pay for Juan Soto at the end of the year, make a decision on Gleyber Torres. Things will just get messy, right? If we sign Blake Snell, Gleyber Torres is basically gone. He might even get traded this season at that point. All I'm saying is, I don't know how likely it is that this actually happens. The signs are pointing in the right direction, and we have talked about this ad nauseum. Every Yankees fan. Blake Snell were a Yankee, and he were the true number 2. Really a 1A, 1B, because both of them won the Cy Young. If that was the 1B, this Yankees team might be unstoppable, because then you have a reliable guy in the number 2 hole. Maybe not reliable to eat innings, as a lot of people like to point out, but you have Garrett Cole for that. If Rodon comes back to form, he can do that. Marcus Stroman is a good innings eater. We have some innings eaters. He's a guy who you want a reliable 5 to 6 one-run baseball in a must-win game. That's your guy. You combine that with the dominance of Garrett Cole over a 7-inning period, it's done. You upgraded the offense and you upgraded the starting pitching. It's done. The American League East, we can stop talking about the Orioles like they are the 99 Yankees. At that point, we have substantially improved to a point where we are the favorites. We're not going to get fully into that right now. Part of why Aaron Judge was doing that media day is because as part of spring training, they were doing live ABs today, and we got some big results out of it. Before I get into this, I know what people are going to say. None of this fucking matters. Everyone's just coming back from their vacations, their off season. It's not like they're coming into their prime selves. Take these results with a grain of salt, I will say. One guy who stood out today is Nestor Cortes Jr. Nestor Cortes struck out Juan Soto 3 times. I'm not concerned about Juan Soto because, like I said, this is not really an indication of how the season will go. What I liked seeing out of Nestor is that he's healthy enough to execute at this level. Last year, it didn't look like he was healthy enough to even try to execute on a level to where he could strike out Juan Soto 3 times, make Judge look bad in an at-bat. Today was a good day to watch Nestor Cortes and say, hopefully, he can come back to form this season. One guy who has made big transformations this offseason, Giancarlo Stanton, took Nestor Cortez deep. I am very impressed with the way Giancarlo Stanton has come into this season looking. It looks like he shed 50 pounds. He looks like a new fucking person. Again, I'm hoping this doesn't affect his power in the same way it affected CeCe when he shed all that weight. To see what because one thing Brian Cashman was very vocal about is we all know Stanton's going to get injured. Stanton's injury prone, and now we just have to prepare for that. It seems like he took that personally. He went into the lab, okay, what is causing some of these leg injuries I've been having? Maybe it's the amount of weight I'm holding. Shed it all. Today, seeing the pop is still there. This could be a brand new Giancarlo Stanton. Now, am I saying he's going to come back to form like he was in Miami? Probably not. He is an older player at this point. Probably not going to see prime Stanton anymore. With this offense being rejuvenated, we don't need prime Stanton anymore. What we need, good Stanton. A Stanton that can get you 30 homers. If you could get over 30 homers, decent OPS with an OPS plus above 115, solid. And that's what we need. We need a solid Stanton to succeed this season. Seeing him take these requisite steps shows a maturity I commend. This is the type of example that is a great thing to set for these younger guys coming up. Giancarlo Stanton saw a problem, and now he's trying to find a solution. These newer players coming up now realize, okay, maybe taking care of my body is probably a great way to go. Even though you would think because they're professional athletes, that would be a given. Part of what Stanton came in looking like is not just like ripped maniac. That was part of his problem. He was holding too much muscle. Now it seems like he still is holding a bit of it, seeing some of the clips from today, which is having me be more excited than when I saw him at first, because I was very concerned when I saw him at first. Again, thinking back to CeCe. CeCe comes in a new person almost. You see this guy who looks like literally not the same guy, 100 pounds thinner, and it showed. He had zero velocity on his pitches, didn't have much to give at that point with the weight off. So I was concerned seeing Stanton like that, because I've seen it backfire. Even if it does backfire, it's still a good sign to see him still trying to get back to form. Another guy who looked good at the plate today was Anthony Volpe. His swing looks short, it looks compact. He ripped a double off of Nestor. Great performance. And yeah, again, a lot of this doesn't really matter. It's live ABs at spring training in February. We're not going to get too much out of this. But I do think that these little stories like Nestor striking out Soto 3 times, being healthy, and Stanton coming in, cutting all that weight, these are the things we're looking out for. Is Juan Soto mashing 15 home runs per session? Because, again, everyone's still ramping up. We'll see how it goes. We got a spring training game Friday. Hopefully I'll be doing something for that. Not going to guarantee anything. But now that we got some of the spring training issues out of the way, let's talk about one of the main issues that, again, I talked about the issues of this offseason in the last episode. I kind of wanted to come at it from a different angle in this episode. Last episode, I talked about the free agents not signing and the marquee guys that are still available. There are still guys that could help 25 of 30 teams that are still available. And these are guys that 30 out of 30 teams can afford. The guys like Tim Anderson, Tommy Pham, the guys of that level, they're still not signed. And this begs the question, is a salary floor necessary in baseball? Before we talk about whether it's necessary, is it possible? Because let's say they set the floor at, you have to spend $100 million or $50 million in an offseason at least. You cannot go under 50 or 100 million, we'll say. 100 million. You have to hit 100 million. For one, that would cause these guys who could help all 30 teams that are affordable, them get signed quicker. Because a team like Oakland can say, hey, Tim, we know you struggled last year. Let's give you like an $8 million deal for 1 year. Raise your value up. No risk on that end. Tommy Pham, we need an extra outfielder. Colorado calls, hey, we're in business. Part of the issue would be, what are the penalties for not hitting the floor? Because if there are penalties like draft compensation that is taken away, or I don't know what else you could really do other than fine them more money, so where it's not even worth it to not spend the money. It's a weird thing to think about, but this would also help the players. This is where I'm getting into why this would be a great thing for baseball. Because, again, these lower level players that either didn't have great years last year but still have a name, the utility guys that are still viable and still have a few years left of good baseball, these are guys that every team could afford. Because there's no floor, these teams can tank to a level that is unfathomable. Unfathomable. What Oakland has done to the sport at times, fucking atrocious. Adding a salary floor would at least have them be semi-competitive. What Colorado has done, look, a lot of that is just bad decision making. What they have shown on the field is poor. It's piss poor. You put a salary floor on them, they're at least semi-respectable. That's what we want out of these teams, for them to be semi-respectable. And a floor means more talent is coming into their teams. A talent like Tim Anderson, a talent like Tommy Pham, and there are others out there. This is not going to affect any of the top tier guys, because no matter what, and Oakland is not paying $40 million Blake Snell over 8 years. Kansas City is not going to be paying Jordan Montgomery close to $200 million. They're just not in that type of market. Like I said, the type of guys that are the super utility, semi-star that had terrible year, a la Tim Anderson, one of the better hitters in baseball over the past couple years, horrific year in Chicago in 23. He could get a fresh start at a lower club, build his value back up, to then go to one of the bigger teams. When these teams are not willing to do it, these guys are just stranded. It kind of sucks because they're waiting on the bigger guys to be signed. Because a lot of the bigger teams are saying, we'd sign you, Tim, if we're able to sign one of these other guys, because you're more of a missing piece, more than a vital thing to more than one of the major pieces. He's one of the missing minor pieces. By Boris and the league kind of blocking each other out, they're also blocking out these lower level guys based off the fact that these lower level guys have to wait until a JD Martinez signs. Wait till a Cody Bellinger signs. The team's probably going to say, look, we got to make sure we have enough money just in case we get a Cody Bellinger. And then we'll think about bringing you to be a bench bat. Or if he signs elsewhere, we'll get you as a replacement. Adding a floor would force these lower level teams that are not in on Cody Bellinger, that are not in on a Jordan Montgomery or a Blake Snell, to go after some of these guys, the sort of middle of the pack type of players. They're in no man's land. And it's unfair that they have to suffer because these higher level guys are trying to force their way into unfair contracts. Now on the flip side, baseball is one of those sports where the owners are stingy as fuck. They have done everything in their power to try and add a salary cap to sort of bail themselves out for not spending enough money. Now, if they've added so many stipulations to where spending is capped, there's no way an owner or like the commissioner is going to come on and put an offer on the table that allows there to be a salary floor. Even though the entertainment would be better because Oakland would then have more talented players. A team like friggin' Colorado would have more talented players, etc. But even with that, it would just be the opposite of the way they want the game to go. And that's where the owners are looking at it like, almost what difference does it make? If these bigger teams are going to buy the Cody Bellingers and the Blake Snells, like the Yankees have Aaron Judge and Juan Soto, the Dodgers have every all-star under the sun, what hope do we have? even if we got a Tim Anderson or a Tommy Pham, what hope do we have outside of that? But again, the response would be the product on the field would look a ton better, which would lead to more viewership, which would be more money. Again, this is where Major League Baseball kind of has a problem here. Media rights deals gets pooled together, and it doesn't matter if you're the Oakland A's or if you're the New York Yankees. The New York Yankees are basically paying the Oakland A's because we get the most advertising, we get the most TV ratings, but get the same amount as them. They still get paid that whatever $1 million for the TV rights. They're fielding a team that's less than the TV rights cost. So the owners are just not incentivized to really negotiate here. And they're not incentivized to want to spend. That's really the problem here. The lower level teams will not spend money if they don't have to, because usually if you get an Oakland Athletics, or if you get a team like Chicago, the White Sox, these teams are usually looked at as investments more than they're looked at to be competitive. Look at John Fisher of Oakland. He's trying to tear everything down and move to Vegas without a deal. Why? Because he sees more media rights there. He sees the sports gambling there. He sees the value of being in a bigger market. Even if he doesn't succeed, people will still show up because it's fucking Vegas. It's an investment to him. He doesn't care about Brent Rooker has one of the better Aprils of the year, or if the A's could actually win over 70 games. He doesn't give a fuck. He gets paid the same media rights as everyone else. So it doesn't matter if his team averages 2.3 viewers per game, 1,000 fans in the stands, which is not a knock on the Oakland fans. Those are some loyal ass fans. They just don't want to see a shitty product and pay money to see it. I fully understand that. It's not a knock on them. This is a knock on John Fisher not caring about the sport of baseball. And that's really the problem here. A salary floor would force teams to care. And I don't think many teams care. There's the top 15 that say we could fight for the playoffs, and Major League Baseball playoffs, as we've seen, are so wild. That means we're basically in the running to win a World Series. But then there's those bottom 10. Those bottom 10 do not care. And it's gotten to a point, no matter what MLB does, unless they do certain things to force these owners to care, they're never going to. And I don't know what they could do. I don't know if you divvied it up into like, okay, it depends on what your media rights is. That's how we divvy up the money. Well, the only reason they made it so that everyone pools the money and splits it evenly is because the teams like Oakland and Detroit all came back and were like, look, we can't compete because New York and LA just get all the fucking money. That's already making it anti-competitive at that point. So you're almost in a double-edged sword type of situation. The salary floor seems like such a good idea on paper. The owners to actually spend money, something like that would have to be implemented. The problem is they're 50% of how that gets implemented. Even the Players Association cares a lot about the top level guys, and they care about the lowest level guys. They care about getting the minimums raised and the maximums raised. They don't care about the middle of the pack. They get screwed over in every single negotiation. This would be the one move that could make that middle of the pack player, Whit Merrifields, the Tim Andersons, the Jorge Solers, those guys in that middle area, this would be the one move that would actually help them, because a team would have to either spend that $150 million on them in free agency, or B, if they can't do it in free agency, the team will just re-sign you to more money because they don't want to get other players. They just have to spend the revenue. It's a win-win for the middle of the pack. But does anyone really care? That's the real question here. Hopefully you enjoyed. I'll do some updates on the spring training games coming up, because we're finally going to have baseball back. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a like down below. If you're new here, hit that sub button. I'm out of here. Peace.